Hey, I'm Tanisha, owner of Shay's Bouquets, and today I'm going to be going over my balloon garland supply list and cheat sheet. This guide is meant to be a fast track for you to create your first beautiful garland, so let's get started. If you don't already have this supply list and cheat sheet, you can get it down below. The link will be in the description. First, you need the proper supplies, so let's go over them one by one. You need an electric balloon pump. This is going to be used to pump up all your balloons. There's absolutely no way you can make a balloon garland without this. Next is your manual pump. You don't necessarily need this, but I would strongly suggest to have one. I use this for my 5-inch balloons and my foil balloons. Next is scissors. You probably already have some of these laying around the house. Next is curling ribbon. You want to make sure it matches the color of your garland. So because I'm going to be doing a garland that has pink in it, I'm using this pink ribbon. Next is glue dots. You definitely want to use this to be able to attach your 5-inch balloons and other balloons to your base. Next is 260 balloons. You use these to tie. You could tie them to the wall and to tie balloons onto the base. I'll show you many ways you can use these. And last but really first are the balloons. I'm going to be using a bunch of different balloons. I have some 12-inch balloons from Walmart, 3 17-inch balloons from Walmart. Here's some 5-inch balloons. Here's a pro tip. You always want to use different size balloons. That creates dimension, that creates fullness, and that makes it look way more professional than if you were just using 12-inch balloons. Now, for someone like you who may not buy your balloons individually based on sizing, you would want to start off with a balloon garland kit from Amazon. I have 2 linked in my Amazon storefront, which there's a link in the description as well, or just go on Amazon, type in the theme, balloon garland kit, and purchase one of those. That's gonna give you the right amount of balloons as well as multiple different sizes. All right, y'all, we've got our supplies. Now we're ready to begin. The first thing we're about to do is create our base. We need our electric balloon pump and we need our 12-inch balloons. Let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is just get all your balloons out. I like to mix up my balloons. Therefore, I'm not thinking too hard. I just pick them up and start pairing them. I definitely recommend getting a stool. First things first, you want to blow the balloons up 2 at a time. I see sometimes when people blow them up 1 at a time. No, blow them up 2 at a time. So let's do it. All right, cool. Now here's a pro tip. A lot of times when I see amateur people blowing up balloons, they just go like this and they start tying them in together. No, here's what you'll want to do. You want to push down, either, on your legs, on here, something like that, because now you see how it's round. Take some air out and then you tie them together, okay? Take some air out. Then tie them together. That way, when you blow them up, they're oval and now they're round. So this is a serious pro tip. Now I'm gonna show you how to tie the balloons. Here's what I do. I go like this. Now I have them like this. My arms are on top of them. Then I pull the necks. Don't be scared. This balloon is not gonna pop. If it pops, it was just a defective balloon. Balloons are very sturdy. I will say this, if you're scared of balloons, this might not be for you, baby, because you gotta know, you could pull these things. So you're pulling the necks. Now you're taking one and you're going under. Now you see how it's like this? And then you tie it once and always double knot it. Tie it again, boom. All right, so you're gonna do that over and over and over again. Boom. You see how I just did it fast? All right, I'm gonna do it slow again for you. Hold the neck so no air is coming out. Push it down on your legs. Push it right here if you want. Whatever you want, but push some of that air out so that it naturally gets more round. Now we're ready. Down. Cross over, pull the necks. Once you pull one up, you see how I'm just releasing it. Boom, they're tied. Now and I like to pull it like this and then tie once and always double knot. Done. And you just let them fall down, let them fall down. Do not pump these balloons up one at a time. All right, I'm gonna show you a couple of times super fast how I do it, and you'll know, hey, one day you'll be doing it just as fast as me. But you see, every time, same thing, same thing. I'm blowing them up. I'm pushing air out. I'm tying them together. I'm double knotting. You see how I'm pulling? Because I don't want no air coming out because it's nice and round. And then I'm putting it away. So now you're just gonna blow up all the balloons. This could take you 10 to 20 minutes. Okay, we finished inflating all our balloons and now we're ready to make them into clusters. So you'll start like this. I like to do 2 that don't match and make what's called a quad. You take them, you put them together at the necks, and then you just twist them around a couple of times. Boom! That's a quad, 4 balloons together. Now you're gonna take 1 extra one and add it to your quad to make 6. Now you have a cluster of 6 and you can move it to the side. You're gonna keep doing this over and over till you don't have any more balloons. Once again, quad first, tie it at the necks and around. Doesn't matter how many times you go around as long as you go at least once so that you know they're hooked together, they're secured together. And then adding another set of 2 to make a cluster of 6. 6, and toss it to the side. All right, now we're ready to create our base. We're gonna start with 1 cluster of 6 and our curling ribbon. You're gonna take the curling ribbon and tie it around the necks of the balloons. I like to double knot it so that I know it's secure. Next, you're gonna take another cluster of 6 and you're gonna put it on top. It doesn't matter how it's on top, just as long as it's sitting on top. You're gonna take your string and you're gonna pull up and you're gonna wrap it around the cluster you just added. Doesn't matter where, but make sure you bring it around under your original cluster, your first cluster. And you see how I'm pulling? And then bringing it back up. Now it's on there. You want to push it down to ensure that there are no gaps. You see how when I'm pulling on here, it doesn't slide down anymore? I'll show you what it looks like when there's a gap and then me pushing it down to make sure there's no gap. All right, let's do it again. Picking up a cluster, adding it on top. It doesn't matter how it sits. Don't think too hard about it. Pulling up on my curling ribbon. Getting it over, under. Now you need to know where your last one was so that you can make sure you go under. Now something a lot of people ask is, do I have to go all the way down? No, you just need to make sure it attaches to the last cluster. So pulling it through, I know this one and this one were for the last cluster. It only needed to be on one, but just to ensure that it's secure. And then I'm pulling it. I really want to show you what it looks like with gaps because I think it's important to see the wrong way so that you can know don't do that. All right, say like I'm not even pushing it down hard. Going through. All right, it's technically on there. And then look, see what happens? This is what would happen to your garland. That string would just be visible. So we're gonna pull it into the middle. Oh, There we go. There's what a gap looks like. You see how there's a gap? That would look ugly if we try to put it on the wall. Does that make sense? Hope so. All right, but no worries. You could just push it down. Boom. I hope you see that that pushed down probably a couple of inches. All right, we're gonna keep going. I've added about 4 clusters and my base is starting to get some length. So I wanted to show you what it looks like as I'm adding these clusters on and it's getting length. So of course, always ensuring that my string is tight. And then I start to kind of use this leg. I add and I'm kind of letting it sit on this leg. I add my cluster, go around, and you see how it's just so much easier to loop it around? That was so much easier. Then I push down. Already pretty pushed down, and I'm ready to add again. Let's do it again. We're up here. We're letting it sit on our body. We're pushing it down and going under. Not pushing it down, but we're looping down and coming back up. And then I'm holding it and I'm pushing it down. Cluster, add it, pull up, over, into the added cluster, around onto the previous cluster, and back up. Now I'm not gonna lie, this garland is a little bigger than I expected. So I'm gonna stop right here. Now this is an important part. I have my string and I'm going to take the lip of any balloon and I'm going to tie them together. Once again, I always double knot. Boom. 2 knots, make sure it's tight, and then I hold it and then cut the string. I keep calling it string ribbon. You want to cut this down so there's not much ribbon remaining. Now you have your balloon garland base. This is a base. A base has mostly 12-inch balloons, and you definitely can add 18-inch balloons into your base. You also want to leave a couple of 18-inch balloons out. That way you can cover any large gaps and just add dimension exactly where you need it. I'm going to be installing my base on the steps. Today's focus is not on the installation. Today's focus is on creating a beautiful garland that's full with a lot of dimension. So the first thing we're going to do is see where our gaps are and where we want to add our 5-inch balloons. So right now I'm seeing that there's a big gap right here. Before I add any balloons, sometimes I can just move balloons around and that can sometimes close my gaps. That closed it a little bit and it just made the gap not as big. So know that once you install, you can move balloons around to create whatever type of shape that you're going for. Most people like a little zigzag and then a little dip, like kind of like dippings and stuff. So just know that you can twist your balloons around. There's going to be dirt and dust that gets on the balloons. So this is a great time to just kind of slap them. And as you can see, I think a lot of people think that balloon, if you touch them, they're gonna pop. You can really move these bad boys around. You can slap them around. It's okay. They're not going to burst. For the most part, balloons are very sturdy. Do that. I'm gonna probably curl that up at the top. Remember that my step-by-step instructions are on my balloon garland cheat sheet. Once again, you can find this in the description linked below. Now we're actually on step 7. We're going to begin adding dimension with our 5-inch balloons, our 18-inch balloons, and today I don't have any 24 or 36 balloons, but you could also add that. Now I have my manual balloon pump, and my 5-inch balloons. Let's get started. So what I usually do is I take 2 5-inch balloons and my manual balloon pump. I take one, put it on there, pump it up about 3 times, put it in my other hand, pump my second one up, once again 3 times. You're gonna do the same thing that you did with your 12-inch balloons. You're gonna push some of that air out. And I push even more air out. And you see how one is a little bit bigger than the other? And then I tie. And remember, when you tie them together, you want to really pull so there's just no gaps. And then double knot, just like with the bigger size balloons. Boom. Here's a set of 2. Let's do it again. 2 5-inch balloons. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm pushing down. I usually don't do these at the same time, and I just like them to be not the same. You see how these weren't as often sized, but they're not the same size. And once again, tie them around and double knot. That's it. Next, I'm going to show you the 3 different ways I pair my 5-inch balloons. First, we're going to start off with a cluster of 3. All right, so I already have 2, and I'm just going to add a 3rd. And then I take all my necks, and then I kind of pull them back so that you can't see them. So this is an example of a set of 3. Next, I'm gonna show you a set of 4. So you just take 2 and we're putting them together and making a quad, just like we did on our bigger balloons. Once again, getting all those necks and kind of tucking them to the back. And then here's a set of 4. Lastly, I do sets of 6s. So I have 3 sets of 2, and then we're gonna put them all together. Once again, just like the bigger clusters, twisting them. Now I have different size clusters, a 3, a 4, and a 6. As you can see, I left this cluster of 6 out. This can be used anywhere to create dimensions. Sometimes you could put it at the top, sometimes you could put it in the middle, sometimes you could put it down here. It doesn't really matter where you add it if you want some to come out a bit. So it's really up to you. I just always leave one out so that I can have dimension that's already ready for me to be added. Know that at this point with your base, if you're seeing gaps, if you're seeing stuff you don't like, it's okay. Don't get stressed out. This is just your base. You're gonna add to it. You're gonna make it full. You're gonna make it have lots of dimension, and ultimately it's gonna look so great. Let's keep going. We're gonna blow those out. Because we only had 3, I decided not to add this in my base and to add this after, so that I know exactly where they're gonna be in the garland. Because there's 3, I think I'm just gonna do one at the top, the middle, and at the bottom. Now you'll wanna grab your glue dots. Let's do one balloon at a time. When you go to peel your glue dots, I usually use 2 at a time. So I would get 2, and then I would just tear it. Now I have 2. I see a really good gap here, so I'm gonna go here. I just take my glue dots on a balloon that it's gonna be touching, and then I stick it on. and I keep my hand on it because it's only attached on this side, so we want to do 2 more on that side. When you're attaching your balloons using your glue dots, it's always a really good idea to have multiple attachment points, and by multiple, at least 2 attachment points. So it's attached to this balloon on this side and this balloon on this side. That way, when I touch it, you see how it's secure? You definitely want to make sure your stuff is secure. If you only attach it once, if I were to slap it, it would have pushed off on this side. That wouldn't have been good. If you want it super secure, you can attach it to this one as well. However, as long as you do it on 2 different sides, it's gonna come out great. All right, now we're ready for our middle. I usually like the middle to be towards the back. So that's that. Because that's that, I'm not gonna use a glue dot. I'm gonna use a 260 balloon. I'm gonna attach it on to my 18-inch. I'm gonna put it up here. And then I'm gonna just go around the whole garland. And as you can see, I just double knotted it. And then you wanna kind of let the 260, it like shot back there. And then boom, you can't even see. And then my last one, I'm gonna grab my glue dots or my 260 because honestly, you can attach your balloons with either. I'm thinking putting it right here, everything, and then I'm tying it onto the balloon. All you're doing is looping it around the balloon and then double knotting it. And the reason I like 260s is because they stretch. So you just stretch that bad boy so it meets you where you need to be able to tie it. Great, now I've got some 18-inch balloons added and I'm going to begin adding lots of 5-inch balloons. I did 2 sets of each size, so here are my 2 sets of 6, and I'm going to put these where I see any types of big gaps, or it may not be gaps, it can be just where you see a lot of the curling ribbon. You want to cover those parts up. I'm going to start here. Remember, I'm putting it there. It's not super secure. I like to do 2. Two secure points per attached balloon. When you're adding 5-inch balloons to your balloon garland, what you want to do is you want to step back, you want to look at your garland, and you want to see where it looks like it needs improvement. For example, I know I want to put something here. I also want to put something here, and I also want to put something up there. I know that for sure. And now that I have the visual, I can begin to feel where I think it needs improvement. Next, I'm going to go with a quad. Something that's also very important is, you see I stage my balloon. I see where exactly I want it to sit before I attach it. And I just move it over to the side a little bit. That way I can put it on there and I know it's secure and it's sitting exactly how I had first staged it. All right, y'all, I think we're finished. When I look at this, I love the dimension. I love the 5 inches. I love the 18 inches. I love the color scheme. It's a good length. There's no gaps. So really proud of this work. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you later.